Hey folks, welcome back. In this tutorial we're going to be using fractal noise to transition from one shot to another in After Effects. Now just to show you what we're going to be aiming for, here's a quick preview. So I've got a shot of a phone and we transition to a shot of a keyboard underneath. The transition's pretty quick, so let me just scrub through it so you can see it a little bit more clearly. So we start with a shot of a phone and we have a nice transition to the keyboard layer underneath. And we use fractal noise to help us apply that transition. Okay, let's get started. I'm just going to delete some of those layers, just take us back to where we were. Now I've got two layers here down on the timeline. I'm just going to relabel them. The top layer is phone and the layer underneath is keyboard, just so as we know where we're working. So top layer phone, layer underneath keyboard. So to get started, we're going to go to Layer, New, and Solid. We're going to have a white solid, and let's just label that Fractal Noise. Whoops, Fractal Noise. I've left the layer as white, the solid, although it doesn't really matter what the colour is, but white will do for the time being. Click on OK. And let me just remove that, that's better. So we've got the white solid on the top and we're going to apply the fractal noise effect to that layer. So make sure you select that solid, go to Effect, Noise and Grain, and Fractal Noise. Now there's a lot you can choose from and play with in fractal noise, but we're going to keep it fairly simple for the time being. I'm going to set the fractal type to max. The noise type I'm going to put as linear. Okay, so just to remind you, max is the fractal type, noise type linear. I'm going to put my time marker at about 1 second, give or take, that should do. And the contrast here, I'm going to put up a little bit. Let's just slide that up. Not too much, probably about 150. That should be about the most that we need. And at 1 second, if you just look in the timeline here, I'm going to set a keyframe for brightness and a keyframe for evolution. Now at that 1 second point then, the brightness I'm going to take all the way down so that it blacks out the screen completely. So just to remind you, at 1 second, keyframe brightness down to just completely black. Evolution, set a stopwatch, but leave it set to 0 for the time being. Let's move along to about 2 seconds. And the next thing we need to do, we'll keep it fairly straightforward again, is we're going to take the brightness and crank it, whoops, all the way up so that it goes completely white. So white out brightness completely. And on the evolution, let's just set that, we don't want to go mad, let's set it to about 5. And that'll make the fractal noise just move ever so slightly around the screen. So we'll set that to 5. Right, let's just scrub through it and see what effect we've got. Okay, not too bad. And that's going to be the template for our transition from 1 second to 2. Now to apply that as an edit, you go on your track mat here. Now if the track mat isn't set up, you need to click on toggle switches down on the bottom here, so the track mat column appears on the timeline. So it's that button there if you don't have it. So on the track mat, on the phone layer, select the phone layer and put the track mat to Luma Inverted Matte. And now we should have this nice effect. There we go. Nice, simple, smooth transition. Let's just preview that and see what it looks like. Okay, not too bad at all. Okay, let's just go back to fractal noise, and it's worth playing with fractal noise because there's so many different transitions you can use with it. As you can see from the drop-down menu here, there's a lot of different shapes you can play with, and they can be altered endlessly under the transform properties, rotation, scale. you name it. So there's a lot to play with there. I've just done a fairly simple one for the time being. But as we scrub through it, it's a nice way of getting from shot to shot without having to resort just to a straightforward cut. Okay folks, hope you enjoyed that. See you in the next tutorial.